Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing Thai immigration. Specifically, we're discussing heightened scrutiny of foreigners coming into the kingdom when they are basically entering through an immigration checkpoint, whether or not they have a visa. I bring this up because there's been a multitude of anecdotal evidence that we've seen from various clients of the firm as well as folks outside the firm that I've talked to who basically have stated similar sets of circumstances. I've heard varying degrees of problems being had at immigration checkpoints. I would like to be clear, for the most part, what I think is frankly going on is simple enforcement of laws and policies that were already on the books that in the past were not enforced as scrupulously, or maybe I should say as zealously by immigration officers as they're being enforced as of the time of this video. As I've said in other videos on this channel, it's my personal opinion that there has been something of a policy paradigm shift within the immigration as well as the law enforcement apparatus here in the kingdom. Specifically, what I'm talking about is I think that immigration as well as police officers are very much starting to view immigration violations less as sort of an administrative, regulatory sort of issue, for lack of a better term, just kind of a matter of bureaucratic fines, if you will. And they're starting to really more view it as a species of law enforcement interest, as well as, in certain cases, a species of criminal activity, as there are people that frequently overstay their visas, willingly overstay their visas, or enter the kingdom, illegally. And for those reasons, again, in the past, this was sort of viewed as I think, kind of an administrative issue, but more and more now, this is being viewed as something that warrants heightened scrutiny almost from a criminal justice standpoint. And for this reason, I think we've been seeing, I think we've been seeing consternation being had by foreigners coming into the kingdom as they're simply not used to a more zealous immigration apparatus. Meanwhile, that most jurisdictions around the world undertake similar activities as Thai immigration officers at checkpoints are currently undertaking here in the kingdom. Frankly, nothing that the Thais are doing is particularly out of line, for example, with what U.S. Customs and Border Protection does at immigration checkpoints in the United States. In fact, they ask very similar questions, matters involving tourist visas into the United States. You can often see people getting scrutinized for, especially if they've spent a particularly long amount of time within the U.S. on a tourist visa, they're going to get scrutinized based on the simple question of what are you doing here? The Thais seem to be doing the same thing, especially in the context of visa exemption stamps, visas on arrival, and tourist visas, as all three of those types of travel documents are explicitly for temporary usage and not to be used by people who are trying to live in the kingdom. And in most cases where I've seen individuals or groups who've had issues at an immigration checkpoint, it's oftentimes come part and parcel with those individuals or groups utilizing tourist visas, visas on arrival, or visa exemptions in order to maintain a prolonged physical presence in the kingdom. We're not talking about folks who are using non-immigrant visas, elite card status, things of that nature. Most of the time when I'm hearing this stuff, it's involving folks who are using, again, tourist visas, visa exemption stamps, or visas on arrival. But one thing that I thought was interesting, just to kind of put some nuance onto this, it came from an editorial in The Nation, nationmultimedia.com. The title is Sawanapum Immigration Bullying is a Tourism Killer, published November 23rd, 2018. And those who are watching this video, go ahead and check out this whole editorial if you like. I just wanted to point out one specific part of this, as I thought it was very pertinent to the notion of heightened scrutiny at immigration checkpoints. Quoting directly from this, I gently suggested he might be wrong, as I had been at the embassy only a few days before, and if I had been overusing a tourist visa, surely they would have told me. So basically, this was a set of circumstances where somebody had clearly had a tourist visa in the past, had left the kingdom, obtained a tourist visa from an embassy or consulate abroad, and was coming back in. And unfortunately, or that might not even be the right word, but unlike times past, where basically just having a visa tended to be enough to get a person back into the kingdom. There is heightened scrutiny now with respect to one's or groups' proposed activity in the kingdom, what they're going to be doing. Are they using these tourist visas to effectively live in the kingdom? And if so, they need to leave and find another visa category because that is not the purpose of a tourist visa. So it was of interest to me, this particular line in this particular editorial, and I thought it was worth making a video just to sort of reiterate, yes, immigration officers in Thailand have had a shift in paradigm, and immigration checkpoints and the officers associated therewith are scrutinizing the purpose of one's stay, and they're especially looking at folks who are utilizing multiple exemptions, visas on arrival, or tourist visas, because those folks need to be utilizing those travel documents for temporary purposes and not for use for long stay here in the kingdom.